Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and it is time to continue the worst first day on the job ever and continue our struggle against the undead in the remake of Resident Evil 2. We are playing as the rookie police officer Leon Kennedy, and specifically, we are going to be playing through his second scenario of this game, and it's going to be episode number 2 of that playthrough. Previously, we started the game by meeting the other playable character, Claire Redfield, and we were almost immediately separated, but with the mutual goal of surviving and exiting the city. So we got to work on that, taking shelter in the police station temporarily. We did not find any other police officers or survivors in the police station, so there's really not any point in staying there any longer than we absolutely have to. But while we were there, we made sure to find a bunch of weapons and also find out about a secret passageway in the station. And after some more scavenger hunting, we were able to open up that secret passageway and explore it, and we're trying to see if we can safely escape the city. Now, we did not get very far into that secret passageway before we ended up fighting against the mutated monstrous William Birkin. We managed to defeat him and, well, unfortunately he escaped. So we will be finding out more about him later on. Now it is time to keep looking for our way out of the police station. It's also time to meet Leon's companion character for this game. So let's go ahead and get to that. I have finished up my inventory management, so there's no reason to remain in the chemical plant basement area. We'll just climb the ladder to the parking garage, go check out the little card reader that we need to utilize to get out of the parking garage, and then introductions will be made. Well, kind of. Introductions may be a bit more generous of a term than what actually happens. Because despite meeting each other, the characters do not actually exchange names in any way whatsoever. I guess putting it more bluntly, they just become aware that the other person is also in the police station and also trying to get out.
Damn. Need a key card. You gotta be kidding me. Get off of me!
Hey!
Who is that?
Stay sharp. Lower it. FBI.
Sorry. Thank you. For your help.
Surprised you made it this far.
FBI, huh? What's going on here?
Sorry, that information's classified.
Where you going?
Do yourself a favor. Stop asking questions and get the hell out of here.
Hey! I'm not done talking to you!
Alright, and that's going to be Leon's companion character for this game. And immediately she is saving us from zombie dogs, which thank you for that. But she has yet to introduce herself and actually give us her name. Granted, if you're watching this video, you probably already know who she is, but I'll wait until the very next cutscene for her to introduce herself. Speaking of which, as we go in the same direction she went in, we're going to be introduced to the next side character besides her as well. I'm just going to take my time taking out this zombie laying on the ground by the cells. If we leave him here, he kind of can become an obstacle later on when you really don't want him to be, so we're just going to go ahead and remove him from the equation. Takes me a little bit of effort, but I do end up taking down that zombie, so I'm free to go down the row of cells. I'm trying to go to the very last cell to see somebody who's hopefully still alive. Besides him, though, every single other cell is filled with zombies, which is some foreshadowing for something terrible that's inevitably going to happen in the future, because you do not introduce a cell full of zombies or several cells full of zombies if you do not intend to use them.
Hello?
Hey.
I don't believe it. A real human. Hello, human.
You been here long?
Long enough. Are we the last ones alive?
No, there's a few of us.
Huh. That's good news, I guess.
Yeah.
That's of course Irons sent you.
Irons? You mean Chief Irons? Is he still around?
Who cares? Hopefully he's somebody's dinner by now.
What do you mean by that?
He's the bastard that locked me in here.
I'm sure he had a good reason.
He did. I was about to blow the whistle on his dirty ass. I'd have done the same thing to him, I guess. Hey, I'll make you a deal. Unlock this cell and I'll give you this. There's no other way out of that parking garage, believe me.
Sorry, I can't do that. I have to talk to the chief first.
Look, we're both prisoners in this station. So either we play nice and help each other out, or... Shit. It's coming.
What? What's coming?
Come on. Come on, don't be an asshole. Okay, you need this! Just get me the fuck out of here!
Oh my god. Who is that?
It's just me. So you can put that thing away.
I don't even know what happened. It just happened so quick.
I told you to get out of here. You wouldn't want to end up like Ben, would you?
You knew him?
He was an informant. Had information of use to my investigation.
So what he said was true? Hey, you can't keep walking away from me! I don't even know your name. I'm Leonskennedy.
Find a way out, Leon. Before it's too late. Then we'll talk. Name's Ada.
Well, I guess the deal's on.
And finally, we get all introduced to each other. Of course, we are Leon, she is Ada, and he was Ben. So yeah, Ben was a reporter claiming that Chief Irons was dirty, which, having played through the entirety of Claire's storyline, yeah, he was 100% correct about that. That's not going to be super important to this playthrough with Leon, but it's just funny he was very correct about that, and him being locked away by Chief Irons for trying to whistleblow against him, yeah, all that checks out. But unfortunately, there's pretty much nothing we could do for Ben before Mr. X just put his fist through the wall, grabbed his face, and basically used him as a human stress ball. Still, Ben was very forthright with the fact that he had a pass to get through the parking garage, so that is going to be our target. We're going to try and get that so we can escape the police station. And the means of getting into Ben's cell is pretty much going to be the exact same way we got into the cell inside of Chief Irons' office as Claire. We are going to be using a power panel that is missing some parts. So first we need to go and find 2 panel parts somewhere throughout the police station, and then return here, put those parts in place, and then begin solving the panel puzzle. Now, one of those panel parts is going to be in the exact same place, and that's going to be in the clock tower. The second panel part is going to be in the dog kennels, which was an area that we explored as Claire, but we're going to be exploring it even further with Leon because we have a crank that Claire did not have, which is going to open up a section of that area that she could not see. So yeah, let's start checking out some new areas and find our way back into the police station. So the first thing we did when we went to the dog kennels was go to the firing range and pick up the broken key for one of the police patrol cars. We're going to use that to pop the trunk just like we did with Claire, but unlike with Claire, we're not going to find a new 9mm pistol. Instead, we're going to find a weapons part for the Matilda 9mm handgun that Leon is by default equipped with, which I personally think is more useful than getting another 9mm pistol. Like, I really don't need 2, but I would rather be able to improve upon the one that I have. Granted, we're not going to see a whole lot of the Matilda from Leon in this playthrough because it is the second scenario and 9mm ammo is just not that common. Although, if this was the first scenario with Leon, I would be pretty happy to see that upgrade. You'd be seeing it getting a lot of use. And now we are in the main dog kennel area, which you probably knew something was going to be different if you saw the original playthrough with Claire, because back then I was creeping around the dog kennels and this time I was running around very freely. And the first big difference is that there are no lickers just hanging around the dog kennels eating the dogs. Instead, the dogs are still, well, not alive, but undead, and they are still locked in the kennels. But naturally, we're not going to be able to go through this entire thing with no threats whatsoever, so keep that in mind as we progress, and yeah, that will most likely be an obstacle for us later. Now, as Leon, getting the diamond key is optional, unlike how it was for Claire, which it was a requirement for her. She needed that key in order to get to Chief Irons' office. For Leon, it really only enables him to access some additional items.
And since this is a long playthrough, I will definitely be using that key and getting those additional items just to be thorough and show as much of the game as I can. But if I was going for time, I'm probably just going to skip over the diamond key because I really don't need any of those items. They're just kind of a luxury to have. What I would do instead whenever I went into the morgue would be mostly just aiming for the flash grenade and the red herb. I can get those without aggravating the zombies and be out of there a lot more quickly and get some items that will be useful by themselves without requiring me to go all over the police station looking for additional doors to unlock. And now we have the diamond key and we have aggravated every zombie in this room. I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here before those two zombies can really do anything to me. And now we can press on to the new area of the kennels that we could not see with Claire. We can do that by inserting the crank here and getting the shutter door open. And after that, we kind of go into, I guess what I would describe as a generator room, at the very least a power room. And if we circle around the entire fence line, we'll eventually find a panel with 4 switches. We have to kind of figure out which of the switches have to be turned on and off. And once we find the right sequence, we restore power to the dog kennel area. And that includes an electrically locked door that will allow us to return to the police station, to include about half of the station that we could not access previously. And then the hunt for the panel parts really begins. But when I glossed over it, I did pick up a box with a panel part in it within the generator room as well. So really it's only a race for one panel part. And now we just need to flip a few switches and then it is time to start running. The dogs have broken free and we need to get out of here, and ah crap, we're off to a terrible start. Oh man, I forgot to heal. Fortunately, that didn't kill me, and where the hell did you come from? So I thought he was stuck back in the morgue if we got out of there fast enough and got to this power room, but apparently he not only followed us into the hallway, but into this room as well. That zombie is not normally in here. Oh man, back in Claire's playthrough, I was talking about how running away from the dogs as Leon is easier when compared to whenever Claire has to run from the dogs. But you wouldn't know it from how this started off. That's okay though, we're going to rally, we're going to avoid all the dogs, and we're going to get out of here and hopefully not get mauled any more than we did right from the start, so yeah. As soon as I said that, I got bit, so clearly my wishful thinking's not working out, so I'll just settle for not dying in here. And we do end up just surviving the dog encounter, which I think that might be the very worst I have ever done running through the dog kennels. Like, that one was atrocious. Like, short of a run where I die, of course, I would say that's about as bad as it could possibly have gone. But we are alive, we're pressing on. I am just making a pit stop in the safe room in order to pick up some healing items from the storage chest because clearly I need them after that. But then we will be back on track and going back through the same hallway where we saw the cut-in-half body of Elliot earlier. Only this time around, he is not going to be alone. At some point since we've been gone, 3 more zombies popped up in that hallway and we need to take them down so that we have an easy escape route for later. And that means the shotgun that we picked up earlier in the game is finally getting some use. And aside from just getting use, especially after the experience I just had with the zombie dogs, we are not going to be taking any chances when encountering the 3 zombies. No, I think I'm about to go overkill with the shotgun and make sure these guys are dead and not going to attack me later. Perhaps I'm being overly cautious here, but I think a lot of buckshot is definitely in order. And after I feel confident enough that the shotgun has put enough holes in the zombies, I'll eventually go back to the storage chest and drop that off for the sake of inventory space. But yeah, we're wiping out everything in this hallway. I'm just trying to pick off the 3rd and final zombie with the handgun now, which, you know what, I guess that's as good a time as any to go ahead and go back and drop off the shotgun because I'm not using it anymore. But yeah, mission accomplished. The zombies have been shot to hell and back with a shotgun, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm getting over the trauma from the zombie dogs for now. And I think I'm going to be okay until I remember that I have to run through even more zombie dogs by passing back to that exact same area later on. But that is a future problem for Leon, not a current problem for Leon, and I'm not going to stress over it just yet. And we now find ourselves in a very familiar location. We are back in the bloody dark hallway of doom. Although there's not really anything dangerous in here, so I suppose we can remove the word doom from that title for the time being. But yeah, we're back in the police station, and I guess it's time to come up with a game plan, and I'm thinking we're just going to go directly to the jack handle. We'll just go through the west side offices and then slip past the liquor in the hallway, grab that, and then make our way all the way back to the, and wow, okay. The bad luck from the dogs is apparently continuing as I get hit by that zombie. I'm down in critical health again. And oh god, I forgot about the liquor. Okay, on a positive note, we didn't get killed by the liquor, which any hit from it would have done the trick. On the negative side, though, we're in the evidence locker, not even the room we were shooting for, and I am about to realize that I have made a gigantic mistake at this point. I would say between both of the playthroughs, this is probably the biggest one. Because it turns out there is absolutely no reason I should even be over in this location. But because I am, I'm down to critical health, I have no healing items, and worst of all, this is all happening because I'm going after an item I cannot acquire yet, because I have skipped a step. So the jack handle that I'm going after actually requires Leon to have the club key, which I do not have yet. That's what I should be going after right now. And what's even funnier about this is even if I did have the club key, this is not the direction I need to go to get it. The direction I'm going right now is towards the door that requires the heart key, which is a Claire exclusive item. I guess I still kind of had my Claire brain on from her playthrough. So yeah, because of my mistake, I find myself cornered with an active liquor in the hallway, and I don't have any healing items to fix my critical health. Any hit will kill me, and all of this was an effort to get an item that I cannot acquire yet, so yeah, this is a pretty big screw up. And it was one that I was very confident was going to get me killed. In real time, I'm not really sure what was going through my head. I may have just needed to go to sleep, refresh my brain a little bit, but yeah, I was making horrible mistakes. Like, horrible mistakes might be an understatement. Like, it was comedically bad. But I do end up completing this run with Leon, so as bad as this is, I do recover. But it's just funny looking back at this. Like, I'm just causing this man so much pain and trauma with all my bad decisions. And anyone watching this might ask the question, like, if this run was so bad at this point, why not start over and re-record and then upload something where you played better? And that's a valid question, like, why wouldn't I do that? And I definitely could have done that, like, there wasn't some sort of a deadline I was trying to meet, this is just a hobby, not a job. But even so, this was so bad, but yet I kept surviving that it got to the point where it wasn't really frustrating or anger-inducing, it was just kind of funny. Like, somehow I was screwing up this badly, but just barely skirting by and staying alive. It was becoming the Murphy's Law run, but not, because, well, I just kept hanging in there. And it was so funny that I kind of just wanted to share it as it was, because it's just a weird little playthrough, and I already showed some pretty good execution around this part with Claire. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And eventually, whenever I do my S+ ranking runs, you're going to see the very best gameplay that I have. And for the second playthrough, this allowed me to break it up a little bit and show something slightly different. Actually having a run where things went wrong, I figured would be a little bit more entertaining than everything going right for a second time in a row. But I did manage to avoid disaster, managing to get all the way to a safe room after encountering the liquor and just barely getting there on critical health, healing, and then pressing on to the rest of the police station. And this may be undeserved confidence after getting completely wrecked by the dogs, then following that up by getting put in critical health by the zombie, and then almost being killed by the liquor. But I decided to only heal myself and leave all the healing items back in the storage box and continue on without any way of restoring my health. In my mind, I was like, okay, you've done this before. Things are going really, really bad right now. But it can't keep happening, right? Surely there is a turning point whenever you stop getting put in near-death situations. So that's what I was really riding on. And just to play it kind of safe, I ended up taking the long way around the police station where I knew it was going to be a safe route, and avoiding the liquor, avoiding the two zombies in the west office. And I figured by the time I reached the east side of the building again, I would not have encountered anything, I'd have time to refresh, and I should be good to go with whatever I was going to be facing on the east side of the building, which is where I should have been to begin with. Because there's a shutter door that's closed over there, and we need to use the crank one final time to open that shutter door and then open up the rest of the police station. It's really funny because I was right by that location, you know, the dark bloody hallway of doom is right below it, And I could have taken the stairs in the entrance hall or the stairs on the external area where we saw Claire at the very beginning of this playthrough. Either one would have got us up to the right location, and at that point I could have just opened that shutter door and continued on, but I went way off course. Nearly died because of it, but we're okay. At this point, I have already opened the shutter door and gotten rid of the crank since we don't need that anymore, and we find ourselves in a part of the east side of the building that we could not see previously. And now I'm just collecting a few stray items around the 3rd floor, and if I have the inventory space, I'll go ahead and collect the big gear. That way we have that item available for whenever we do go for the clock tower. Which inventory space for Leon right around this part isn't going to be as big of a deal as it was for Claire, because he's going to have access to one more safe room and one more storage box, and they are a required part of his route. So we can overload on items right about now, and it won't really matter here in a moment because we can just deposit all of them. And the safe room I'm referring to is actually where we're going to be finding the club key. There's a section of the roof where we could see the helicopter on fire when we were playing as Claire, and in that section for Claire was a door that was boarded up. For Leon, that door is not boarded up and we can access some rooms that she couldn't. We will be seeing that here in just a moment. First, I need to finish taking down this zombie, then go back into the attic and pick up, I believe, just the shotgun shells. There might be something else in there, but I think that's all I still need. And after that, I'm going to head to the roof and head to that section of the building and check out those rooms, which those rooms are what contain the safe room with the club key. Oh, and I needed way more than the shotgun shells. I didn't pick up a single thing whenever I first came in here. I don't know why, but some part of me thought I had already picked up some items before I aggravated that zombie, and nope, that was not the case whatsoever. I had to collect everything. But we have that knocked out now, so let's go check out the roof. And while I am out there, I will go ahead and pick up the blue herb. With the exception of having an additional safe room on the roof, it's pretty much going to be exactly the same for Leon as it was for Claire, but there is one other exception, and it's right about here.
Damn it.
So yeah, one other difference for Leon on the roof when compared to Claire is that Claire could go back up and down that ladder without any issue because it did not break. So she was free to retreat to safe areas that she had accessed previously if necessary. Leon does not have that same luxury, he just has to continue on into whatever danger lies ahead. Which I guess I probably should have mentioned it before this point since we're already stranded, but if you had anything that you needed to do prior to this moment, I would recommend doing that first because things are about to get a little bit more complicated. And I guess on that note, I probably should have went ahead and accessed the diamond key doors and accessed those items before I got here, but that's the gift of hindsight, and that's also kind of super appropriate for the mistakes I've been making in this anyway, so yeah, we'll just go ahead and stick with the theme. And here I don't take any chances trying to dodge the zombies because I kind of figured it'd go poorly like it did back in the West office, so I just went ahead and threw a flash grenade, and these are the rooms that Claire did not have access to. And we're going to find the club key taped up on a dry erase board, and now we can just go ahead and do some quick inventory management, then press on to the main threat of this part of the game and try to get all the other items that we need while he is following us. Because if you already saw the Claire playthrough, you pretty much know what's about to happen. Also, don't worry about those 2 zombies if you don't have to. Whenever I go to extinguish the fire on the helicopter, and also go to encounter the next threat in this part of the game, they never seem to follow me up to that floor of the roof, and while I'm sure they probably can go up there, I've never seen them do it, so it seems like it's an unlikely outcome. Mr. X has found us again, and he was even nice enough to move the helicopter out of our way, that way we could use that hallway again. Which was super considerate of him considering we were kind of stranded on this roof. There really weren't any other ways out of here. So you know what, Mr. X, I know you're trying to kill us and all, but I think you're actually a pretty good guy. But you are trying to kill us, so we used the roof and its open area to circle around Mr. X. And then after that we were able to get back into the police station without any trouble, although we are going to have him lingering behind us for the foreseeable future. And since we are already on the east side of the building, I'll go ahead and backtrack to the staircase and head down to the interrogation rooms and pick up the items in there. It's worth noting that Mr. X cannot go inside the interrogation rooms, so you're kind of safe in there. Although he will definitely be lingering on the outside, and on some occasions I've seen him crash through the wall in the hallway by the interrogation rooms. I don't know exactly how you trigger that each time because it doesn't happen every single time, but I have seen that occur. And inside the interrogation rooms, what I'm going after is a document that contains a combination for one of the safes, specifically the one in the second floor waiting room. But also in the interrogation room in scenario 2, we have a portable safe that has one of the spare keys that we can use on the keypad in the evidence room. Besides those items, the main thing to take away from the interrogation room is that there is no liquor here, but the window is broken from when Claire was here. The room is in this condition regardless of which scenario you play Leon in. So it does feel like we were following in Claire's footsteps pretty much the entire game. After that, I believe pretty much everything that we need to do is going to be on the west side of the building. So we will be returning there again like I was earlier when things went wrong. Which after my earlier blunder almost dying trying to go after the jack handle when I did not have the club key yet, we can finally actually do that because I finally have the club key. So now time to go ahead and get that item, go ahead and check out the diamond doors that have some additional items. And besides that, we should be able to breeze through this pretty quickly, making our way to the clock tower. We will see if I forget anything along the way. Now the big question, does Mr. X break through the hallway wall like he's the Kool-Aid Man? And it does not appear he's going to do it this time. That's unfortunate, that would have been kind of cool to see. But I do need to remain on the lookout for him because whenever he's not down here in the hallway busting through walls, he likes to linger around the waiting room right by the entrance hall. So I'll take it a little bit slow as I enter that area just to make sure he's not lingering around a corner or on the other side of a door. But once we are fully in the clear of Mr. X, I will be going after the jack handle for real this time. And it'll actually be going to the correct location as well, which for Leon is going to be that first hallway where we found a liquor hanging out. There is a door that requires the club key over there. We will just have to take our time going through that hallway so we do not alert the liquor. Which, depending on where Mr. X is, can be a bit of a challenge because as nice as he was lifting up that helicopter for us and contributing to our mission of getting out of here, he's not going to be doing those kinds of things very often. And that's an example of where he will not be very helpful. In fact, he will chase you down regardless of that liquor being there, which will force you to have to run away, aggravate the liquor, and then suddenly you are running from both Mr. X and the liquor. So depending on your timing and the location of Mr. X, that hallway can be really easy or really difficult. Either way, Mr. X is really never all that far behind, so even if you do get through that entire hallway without aggravating the liquor and without Mr. X being around, by the time you go in and get the jack handle, that records room that you're going to be in is going to be useful to get away from Mr. X because by the time you get the jack handle, Mr. X will probably have caught up to you, and that is a room that he can break into. Fortunately, there is like a shelving system in the middle of that room that can allow you to circle around Mr. X and head out that hallway door without having to run headfirst into Mr. X and probably take a little bit of damage. So yeah, timing's important. There is a way to get away from Mr. X. You just kind of have to be on the lookout for him and be prepared. Now, I don't know why he never entered the records room or chased after me over here. That's kind of rare, but I guess I'm good to go from here. Never mind, the Murphy's Law run continues. I guess Mr. X was just running a little bit behind. Perhaps he took too long during his coffee break, I don't know. But he never showed up at the records room like I was anticipating, but now that I'm making my way back to the entrance room, I end up running into him right outside of the door and right around the corner of some sort of a shelving system. I actually don't know what it is. Anyway, he had me somewhat cornered, which is a pretty bad spot to be with Mr. X because depending on how close you are to the corner, he can just lock you in there and keep punching you until you're dead, basically. That did not end up being the case. I managed to squirrel my way out of that situation and run away from him, so we're okay. But man, I was worried there for a second. I had not taken any damage from any enemies in a little while, and I was starting to think that maybe I was going to be going a long time without taking any damage, and we just don't want that. So okay, he's right behind us. Here's the game plan. We go up to the library. We go ahead and get the jack handle in place. We move the shelves in place. And by the time we do that, he should be pretty close to us, so we're going to bail out. We're going to head all the way over to the opposite side of the library and go down the STARS office hallway and worm our way all the way to the evidence lockers. And once we're at the evidence lockers, we're going to be in a good position to get turned around again. We'll go ahead and use the spare key that we found. get whatever item we can at the moment. But since you can do a perfect circle around the evidence lockers in that locker room, and that's also a room that Mr. X can go inside, we'll just chill, we'll wait for him to show up, and then we'll circle around the evidence lockers, and then we'll loop our way all the way back up to the 3rd floor. Scratch that 2nd floor. We'll use the diamond key to get the very last of the spare keys for the evidence lockers, use that final key in the evidence room to get the rest of the items, work our way back around, and then we'll head to the clock tower. And we made it to the evidence locker, so we get a little bit of a quick breather here. I'm going to go ahead and use the spare key, and I guess I'll go ahead and collect the combat knife so I have one extra defensive item, just in case things go poorly again. But yeah, after I have that, we're just going to pull a quick U-turn and head back upstairs, and Mr. X should be here any moment now. Or not. Okay, maybe he went the wrong way. No, not again. And, okay, so we get hit by Mr. X one more time for good measure. Now we can use the locker room as I originally intended, circling around, and it's not going to be damageless, but we're going to get out here more safely than we otherwise would have, and we're going to have to risk it running away because we're going to aggravate the liquor, but hopefully Mr. X and the liquor get in each other's way, and I can get to the next safe room without there being any problems, and we're just going to hang out there a second and let Mr. X reset somewhere else. Oh man, I love this run so far. Just excellent chaos. Nothing is going right, and I'm having some fun with it. And I've said previously that I think both scenario 1 and 2 for Leon are easier than they are for Claire. However, you definitely would not know that seeing this gameplay because it does not reflect that whatsoever. But I swear it's true, at least that's my opinion. So now I'm just kind of curious where things are going to go astray next because I feel like it's inevitable that's going to happen again eventually. Stay tuned. I'll just go ahead and grab the diamond key and make my way back up to the STARS office hallway so I can unlock that door. But where is Mr. X? I clearly hear his footsteps, but I do not see him. And I'm not seeing him upstairs, so I think he was on the 1st floor, but with my luck, he's probably going to hit me as soon as I go through the locker room or to the STARS office hallway. I'm just ready for this to go wrong again. I am oddly excited for this to go poorly. Now, he's not in the locker room, and it doesn't look like he is in the STARS office hallway, but he might be around the corner. And no, okay, looks like we are in the clear finally. And behind this diamond door, we should find the very last spare key we need for the evidence locker keypad. And I believe that's going to be the very last time I use the diamond key. I could go into the firing range and open up an additional door with that key. There is a film roll in there, and there's a red herb in there. But we already developed that film back in Claire's playthrough, and I don't know that I really need the red herb. So I might go get those items, I might not, we will see. I've kind of already covered that, so it's not really necessary. And after many failed attempts, I believe I have finally figured out the portable safe combination. And yeah, okay, we finally have the spare key for the keypad. So now we just need to head back to the evidence locker. I'll try to go back the way I came. I still believe that Mr. X was somewhere on the 1st floor, probably still in that hallway with the liquor. And he may have followed our path all the way up to the 2nd floor, but he may have also gone a completely different direction to try and get here because sometimes he does some weird things, so kind of hard to say. And he's not in the STARS office hallway, so that's good. And wait a minute, I hear something that sounds notoriously like I'm about to get punched in the head again. Alright, it is time to reroute once again. I'm going to head all the way back through the library and head to the entrance hall. And from there, I should be able to go through the west offices, hit the hallway, and be basically right in front of the evidence locker room. So that's probably going to be the most efficient way to get to that location without too much backtracking. And then once we are at the locker room, I'll try to execute what I wanted to do the first time around, which is just let Mr. X go into the locker room after me, and then I'll run around the evidence lockers to avoid him and then get out of there pretty safely. Actually, now that I'm really thinking about it, there are still 2 zombies in the west office. There's still the liquor directly in front of the evidence room. And Mr. X is not too far behind me at any given time. Yeah, going through the west office sounds like a bad idea. So instead, let's go ahead and backtrack to the library and try to get around Mr. X that way. I could end up running directly into him if I return to the STARS hallway immediately, but I can hang out in the library for a moment. Oh, there he is. Well, now that he is here, we can just use the table to get around him, but I also had options like the ladder and the stairs. And now that Mr. X is behind us, we don't have to worry about running into him inadvertently. And we can go directly to the evidence room lockers, put that last key in place, and get the last of those items. And then we're pretty much done with all the side stuff, and we can go directly to the clock tower and get the last panel part, and then return all the way to the parking garage and get that key card off of the deceased remains of Ben. Now we're basically just running away from Mr. X at this point, and there's really nothing too important that we need to do until we get to the hallway outside of the evidence room. Really, the key thing that we're doing now is just trying to put as much distance between me and Mr. X as possible. That way, whenever we do get to that hallway, I have enough time to slow down and just walk to the evidence room without aggravating the liquor, but with enough time to spare so that Mr. X cannot catch up to me and cause me damage in the process. Now, this is me being super optimistic, though. And as we know, there's no room for optimism in this playthrough. Something is going to go wrong. It's just a matter of what, and I'm dying to find out. So what is it that is going to happen? Is the liquor going to end up detecting us and attacking? Is Mr. X going to catch up at the last possible moment? I guess the answer was nothing. Nothing was going to happen. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a really good thing. That's a great position for us to be in, but after everything else that we've experienced, I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought something horrible was going to happen. Then again, the last time I was here with a spare key, overall, that experience just getting there went perfectly fine. Really didn't go too badly until I tried leaving the evidence locker room, and that is when I rounded the corner and got punched in the face by Mr. X. So perhaps I am getting a little bit too optimistic here. Maybe the real problem is trying to leave. That may be the real moment when everything goes wrong. So I guess on that note, I am going to be very, very slow to leave this evidence room. Like, I am going to be chilling at the door and waiting to see the silhouette of Mr. X before I do anything. Listening for the footsteps, listening for the music. I need some sort of a clear indication that it is truly safe to leave that room, or an indication that he's coming inside that room. Okay, the liquor is directly outside the door. I can clearly hear Mr. X wandering around out there, but he doesn't seem to be in front of the door. And I saw a silhouette walk by a moment ago. Well, crap, time to go. And of course, I got optimistic thinking I might make it to the safe room just in time. But no, I don't. The liquor manages to get one attack in just as I'm going through the door. And once again, I am back on critical health. Well, I mean, I was. I did just heal, so I'm good now, but a moment ago I was cutting it pretty close. So in case you were worried about the bad luck streak ending, you can stop worrying now. We're going to continue putting Leon in near-death scenarios every step of the way through this game. Which I'm playing it up like I just played horribly the entire time. I'm sure this does turn around eventually. Like, I can't imagine it goes this bad the entire time. But I am enjoying the ride of it being this bad for as long as it has been for pretty much ever since we returned to the police station. From the parking garage to this point has been quite a run of bad luck. Like, I decided to go with this gameplay specifically because I thought it was fun. I recalled having a bunch of near-death situations happen, but even though I remembered that, I did not remember just how many there were. Apparently I repressed memories of some of this because it has just been a really wild ride. And the really funny thing is, most of the damage, the excessive amount of damage that I am taking, it is happening while trying to do a bunch of extra stuff I would not normally do. Like, with the exception of the dogs and me going to try and get the jack handle a lot earlier than I was supposed to, all the damage I have taken besides that involved me going for a bunch of extra stuff that I did not need. Like, I did not need any of the things in those evidence lockers. I was just doing that to be thorough and show as much of the game as I could. So it's kind of funny to me that what is nearly getting me killed the most is doing a bunch of extra unnecessary stuff just to try and be thorough. It's not even the main things I need to do to progress in the game, although I have had my fair share of near-death experiences doing those as well. But I am not going to be able to use that as an excuse for very much longer because now I'm finally getting around to like the one required thing I needed to do. And that was go to the clock tower, do the gear puzzle, and pick up the panel part that we need to get into Ben's cell. Now, nothing is different here when compared to Claire, so everything I said for Claire is going to apply here as well, so I'm not going to spend too much time just explaining this puzzle or anything like that, but just know that we're finally almost out of all the side stuff, and we can get out of the police station and go on to the next area. Which actually means that we're really close to the next boss battle as well, so we'll get to show that off here in a moment. But before we even reach that point, I still have to get past all the dogs that nearly killed me earlier, so hopefully that goes better. Like, normally I don't have a hard time with the dogs, but in both Claire and Leon's cases, I ended up getting mauled pretty badly. Unlike Claire, though, Leon has a second attempt at running by the dogs, so I'm hoping that attempt number 2 goes much, much better. I could really use a distraction in order to make that more successful, though. Makes me wonder if squeaky toys still work on zombie dogs.
Hope I don't have to write a report on this.
Actually, having had an entire cutscene to think about it, a squeaky toy might work on the zombie dogs. I mean, in the Resident Evil 1 remake, a dog whistle worked on the dogs, so I don't really see why a squeaky toy wouldn't also be somehow effective. Canine quirks aside, my next move here is going to be returning to the library, and this time around, I'm going to use the unstable walkway to crash down to what I guess you could consider the first floor of the library just to try and get out of there a little bit faster. Every fucking time! Oh, around every corner there will be the fist of Mr. X. I really love this playthrough. This is a glorious train wreck, and I'm just loving every second of it. So I got simultaneously unlucky and lucky right there because Mr. X hit me, he knocked me into critical health, and because I fell through the unstable walkway, it aggravated the zombie that was eating that corpse over there. So whenever Mr. X hit me, I was probably about to get grabbed by that zombie and he was going to finish the job and kill me, but instead Mr. X decided to grab me instead and gave me the opportunity to use a defensive item. So instead of there being a 2-against-1 handicap match where the zombie held me down while Mr. X punched me to death, I threw a grenade, I took down both of them, stunning Mr. X and killing the zombie, and then I got the hell out of there before anything more could happen. And on that note, we need to bail out of the police station entirely. It's time to go all the way back to the parking garage and try to exit this place without dying. Which again should be a little bit of a challenge, or at least, a thrilling run considering I have to escape the dogs again. And as foreshadowed earlier in the playthrough, of course something is going to go wrong whenever we open up that cell back where Ben is at, so we have that to look forward to as well. And while we are in the area and Mr. X is stunned, I'll go ahead and open up that safe and get another weapons part for the Matilda. And I think this is the last weapons part for that gun. So I think it's going to be fully upgraded after we add this, but I'm not 100% sure. I think after this all we have are upgrades for the shotgun and the flamethrower. Oh, and the Magnum. There's one more upgrade for that as well. And as I am making my way back to the shutter door where Elliot died, I'm realizing that I never did board up any of the windows in that hallway. So we will have some zombies breaking through there, but we're just going to be darting through that area anyway, so they really shouldn't cause us any problems. I am going to very quickly duck into the safe room and start doing some inventory management to prepare for what is going to come next. Like, we do have the dog run, which there's not too much preparing for that I can do besides making sure that I have healing items in my inventory. But what I'm more focused on is what's going to happen immediately after that. Because we're going to be returning to the jail cells and things are going to get a little bit chaotic. And in order to best survive that chaos, I want to make sure I have grenades and flash grenades on me. Ideally, I'm going to be using one of both or less. But I want to make sure I at least have one hand grenade and one flash grenade, that way I can stun and then incapacitate anything in that area because things are going to get crowded very quickly. And yeah, take any healing items you can fit into your inventory. That's not going to overload you, but if you don't have too many healing items, don't worry about it too much because whenever you do get the key card from Ben's body, right next to it is going to be a first aid spray. So if you have nothing, at least you will not stay that way for very long. In fact, I'm even going to gamble here and not take any healing items with me. That way, the only one I pick up is going to be that first aid spray whenever I get to Ben. And while in the safe room managing my inventory, I'm also upgrading my weapons with the spare parts that I found. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but the upgrades for the Matilda do some different things. Like the stock that we put on it initially is going to give you burst fire capabilities where I believe the Matilda will fire between 2 and 4 rounds. Maybe it's 2 and 3. But in short, you will have burst fire firing multiple rounds at one time. Not fully automatic, but not bad. And then the muzzle that we got from the safe up in the second floor waiting room, whenever we put that on the Matilda, it just reduces the recoil on that pistol every time you fire. And after a good amount of inventory management, upgrading my weapons and all that good stuff, I take one more lap around the safe room just to make sure there aren't any items in there that I left behind when I was first in there at the beginning of this playthrough, because I don't really intend to come back to this spot for a while, or at all if I can help it. And I also use the diamond key in the firing range for the final time to pick up those items too. So yeah, with all that out of the way, it is time. It is time for redemption. We're going to be going back on the dog run. And we get through the dog kennels without getting bit, but we are not safe in the parking garage because now the dogs are in there as well. We managed to split the two dogs that kind of made an X pattern and avoided us entirely for some reason. And we're almost there, and I did it. I managed to get all the way back to the jail cells without getting bit by the dogs. Yeah, I will take that. That was so much better than it was the first time around. That's normally how it goes. I do not understand why it went so poorly the first time, but all of that's behind us now. We did good. Let's go get that key card. The only thing standing in our way now is going to be the panel puzzle, which we have the parts for, so I'm going to go ahead and insert those into the panel now and get that started. Now, I think I mentioned this in Claire's playthrough, but the panel puzzles are completely different depending on the character and the scenario. So I believe you have between 2 to 4 different variations of the panel puzzle depending on who it is and when you use that character, but I might be mistaken on that. I know there are a couple of them, though. None of them are like crazy difficult or anything. You're just taking point A and point B and trying to get them both to converge at point C.
That doesn't explain the rumors about the orphanage. I just find it way too coincidental Umbrella's one of the benefactors.
You told me this interview was about the new scholarship Umbrella set up.
Come on, nobody cares about that. They want to know about the G virus.
Where did you hear about this?
And that big fucking sinkhole in the city, which, by the way, rumor has it goes straight to your underground lab. Now, are you going to talk to me, or are you going to...
This interview's over.
Bitch.
Now, immediately after that cutscene, we get access to the interview transcript document, which is just his tape recorder. And it does not say anything different from what we just saw in the cutscene, so you already know what it says.
What are they after?
I will pick up the first aid spray, but there is one more document in here, and it's going to be titled Ben's Memo. And it says, "The station's swarming with monsters. Even here I can hear their cries. But it's not the zombies I'm afraid of. Codename Tyrant. The ultimate bioweapon. Developed by those bastards in the utmost secrecy. To think that thing might be wandering around here. Chances are they have ordered it to wipe out the witnesses. Well, considering Mr. X has been trying to kill us since the moment he saw us in the police station, and also he put his fingers through the skull of Ben, yeah, I would say Ben was probably spot on about trying to kill the witnesses."
That's not good.
Alright, here's the game plan. We're going to hang out right here, and we're going to let all the jailbreaking zombies head all the way back here towards me and get clustered together. Most of them are going to move as a pack, but one of them will come out of its cell closest to me by itself, and I'm going to have to shoot it in the face with a shotgun. But all the other ones should be so close together I can just use a grenade on them, and then book it to the exit. Pretty much all of them died, so far so good, and now I just need to reach the exit. We might have an unwanted visitor there, but that's what the flash grenade is for. Ah, crap. Ah, yes! The flash grenade went off at just the right time because Mr. X hit me into critical health. The zombie grabbed me but did not have time to bite me, and then it stunned everyone in the area. We're good. We are out of here.
Ada.
This is getting old. Saving your ass, that's twice.
I didn't realize you were keeping score.
Look, this isn't a game.
You're gonna kill me.
Nothing dies down here. I take it you have the key card.
Yeah, and this. I was hoping you could explain what's on it.
Maybe. After I hear it. Let's get out of here.
Now, Leon and Ada have some dialogue between each other as we walk around, so I'm just going to let them talk as we go up to street level. I will be back in just a little bit. Okay, the conversation between these two is taking a little bit longer to get started than I remembered. Oh, right, she's listening to the tape recorder first. After she gets done listening to the tape recorder, then Leon and her start talking. So, okay, we actually had a moment. Well, immediately outside the gate to the parking garage is a green herb. It's easy to kind of walk past and not notice, but it is there, so feel free to pick that up. There's not really anything else in this area, though, so don't worry about that.
Is that the intel you needed?
Unfortunately, no. Ben didn't come through.
Well, what exactly are you looking for?
More info on the people responsible for this mess. What about you? Trying to save the world?
Yeah, well, someone's got to get word to the authorities. We need reinforcements to save this city.
Oh, and while there is a pause in the conversation, it is worth mentioning that Leon takes a different route than Claire did. We won't be seeing any of the stuff that she saw, but we get to go through Kendo's gun shop, so we are at least getting something new, even if that means we do not get to revisit things like the orphanage.
Road's out. Going through that gun shop looks like the only way.
Besides just giving us an alternative path, Kendo's gun shop is going to be useful for getting a little bit more ammunition, and also an upgrade to our shotgun. Inside, we're going to find a new barrel for the shotgun. That part is going to specifically allow us to upgrade our capacity of shells to 8.
What a mess.
I believe right now we can only hold 4 at a time. So yeah, that's going to be pretty handy. And on top of that, it should also give us a little bit of a power boost. So all around, this is a really good upgrade. And other than the ammunition, the grenade, and the upgrade to the shotgun, there's also something else in this shop I find interesting. It's going to be one more document. And it is titled Letter to the Shopkeeper. And it says, Kendo, it seems like you've got your reasons for staying put, so I'll trust you to take care of yourself. Still, if things get worse, and your other arrangements don't work out, you know where to find me. I'll do everything I can. Signed, Jill Valentine, one of the 2 selectable protagonists from the previous game. And also foreshadowing for the next game, because the next game, Resident Evil 3, takes place entirely from Jill's perspective with the exception of just a couple of parts. So the note would imply that Jill Valentine has already been to Kendo's gun shop, and all of that is from the events of Resident Evil 3, which kind of happened before, during, and after the events of this game. So yeah, we get a little bit foreshadowing for what's to come next.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
I said don't move.
I'm just passing through. I'm gonna ask you to lower that weapon.
I tell you what, you gotta turn around and go right back out the way you came in.
I think your daughter needs help, sir.
Don't tell me how to deal with my daughter.
Drop it.
No! Wait!
Step aside. We need to terminate her before she turns.
Terminate. It's my fucking daughter.
Ada. Just let them be.
Emma? Sweetheart, I told you to stay put.
Daddy?
Yeah, Daddy's here. Okay? Those fucking things outside. Look what they did to us. You're a cop. You're supposed to know something. How did this happen? Huh? She was our sweet little angel.
Mommy.
I was sleeping, honey. Okay? And I'm gonna put you to bed too, okay? Emma. Just go. Just give us some privacy.
You know, it's one thing to keep the truth from me, but why him? I want to find out what's happening here and stop whoever's behind it. Helping people like them? That's why I joined the force.
My mission is to take down Umbrella's entire operation. We may not make it out.
Whatever it takes to save this city. Count me in.
The voice actor for Kendo low-key might have the best performance in this entire game.
Now, before Ada and Leon embark on their journey to the next area, I'll go ahead and wrap up this episode here. So, what happened? We kicked off the episode by meeting Ada as we were trying to escape through the parking garage. But we found out that the garage's shutter door does not open unless you have a key card, and that basically has us locked into the parking garage. Now, the need for a key card aligned with Ada's goal of finding a reporter named Ben. Besides having information that Ada wants, Ben also has a parking garage keycard. We just had to find a way to get Ben out of the jail cell he was stuck in. But unfortunately, we do not end up with the keycard or the information before Ben is killed by Mr. X, who just punches through the cell wall and then crushes his head. So we went on a long detour to restore power to the cells, that way we could open it up and then get to Ben and then get that keycard. And eventually we did just that, and thanks to his research, we also know that Umbrella was beginning to research something called the G virus, and that is also likely going to be what caused the undead outbreak. So with the keycard in hand, we tried to leave, but our favorite trench coat and fedora wearing stalker, Mr. X, well, he decided to show up. Fortunately, Ada was there to run him over and blow him up, but as she put it, nothing stays dead around here, so we will be seeing Mr. X again soon. Lastly, we found a way to the sewers through Kendo's gun shop, and after a tragic cutscene with Kendo, the next step is to go into the sewers. We will pick up the next episode doing exactly that. For now, though, just thank you for watching this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other things I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other playthroughs related to Resident Evil, like the playthrough with Claire for this game, but also playthroughs for the original Resident Evil's remake as well. And then there are other things like Mortal Kombat and Crash Bandicoot on there as well, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. But yeah, thank you again for watching, take care, and hopefully I will see you next time.